Hi, and welcome back to an episode of the Guidance Book Club in the Bound Book Club. Yeah, and today guys, I'm extremely exciting episode because today guys, we're on episode number 462. And you can see the day today is Monday 29 on August 2022. And this episode was supposed to be recorded on 23 on May. So we need to keep recording, but we are going to do it. So guys, today we are continuing our journey with influence of psychology of persuasion by Robert P. Cialdini. Page 163 to 166 to 166. Excuse me, let's go. Title: How to Say No. Because that can be increased by many means. A proper consideration of defenses against compliance professionals who employs the lacking rule must, oddly enough, be a short one. It would be pointless to construct a horde of specific counter tactics to combat each of the many versions of the various ways to influence lacking. There are simply too many routes to be blocked effectively with such a one-on-one strategy. Besides, several of the factors leading to lacking, physical attractiveness, familiarity, association, have been shown to work unconsciously to produce their effects on us, making it unlikely that we could muster a timely protection against them. Instead, we need to consider a general approach, one that can be applied to many of the lacking-related factors to neutralize their unwelcome influence on our compliance decisions. The secrets to such an approach might lie in its timing. Rather than trying to recognize and prevent the action of lacking factors before they have a chance to work on us, we might be well advised to let them work. Our vigilance should be directed not towards the feelings that might produce undue liking for a compliance practitioner, but over the fact that undue liking has been produced. The time to react protectively is when we feel ourselves lacking the practitioner more than we should under the circumstances. And by concentrating our attention on the effects rather than the causes, we can avoid the laborious, nearly impossible task of trying to detect and deflect the many psychological influences on liking. Instead, we have to be sensitive to only one thing related to liking in our contacts with compliance practitioners. The feelings that we have come to like the practitioner more quickly or more deeply than we would have expected. Once we notice this feeling, we will have been tipped off that there is probably some tactic being used, and we can start taking the necessary counter measures. Note that the strategy I am suggesting borrows much from the jiu-jitsu style favored by the compliance professionals themselves. We don't attempt to restrain the influence of the factors that cause lacking. Quite the contrary, we allow these factors to exert their force, and then we use that force in our campaign against them. The stronger the force, the more conspicuous it becomes, and consequently, the more subject to our alerted defenses. Suppose, for example, we find ourselves bargaining for the price of a new car with dealing Dan. A candidate for Joe Girard's bucket greatest car salesman title. After talking a while and negotiating a bit, Dan wants to close the deal. He wants us to decide to buy the car. Before any such decision is made, it will be important to ask ourselves a crucial question. In the 25 minutes I've known this guy, have I come to like him more than I would have expected? If the answer is yes, we might want to reflect upon whether Dan behaved during those few minutes in ways that we know affect like him. We might recall that he had fellas, coffee and donuts, before launching into his pitch. That he had complimented us on our choice of options and color combinations. That he had made us laugh. That he had cooperated with us against the sales manager to get us a better deal. Although such a review of events might be informative, it is not a necessary step in protecting ourselves from the lack of control. Once we discover that we have come to like Dan more than we would have expected to, we don't have to know why. The simple recognition of unwarranted liking should be enough to get us to react against it. One possible reaction would be to reverse the process and actively dislike them. But that might be unfair to him and contrary to our own interests. After all, some individuals are naturally likable, and that might just be one of them. It wouldn't be right to turn automatically against those compliance professionals who happen to be most likable. Besides, for our own sakes, we wouldn't want to shut ourselves off from business interactions with such nice people, especially when they might be offering us the best available deal. I would recommend a different reaction. If our answer to the crucial question is yes, under the circumstances, I like this guy peculiarly well. This should be the signal that the time has come for a quick counter maneuver. Mentally separate Dan from that Chevy or Toyota is trying to sell. It is vital to remember at this point that should we decide for Dan's car, we will be driving it, not him, off the dealership lot. It is irrelevant to buy the automobile purchase that we find Dan likable because he is good looking, claims an interest in our favorite hobby, is funny, or as relatives back where we grew up. Our proper responses then is a conscious effort to concentrate exclusively on the merits of the deal and count Dan is for us. Of course, in making a compliance decision, it's always a good idea to keep separate our feelings about the requester and the request. But once immersed in even a brief personal and sociable contact with the requester, the distinction is easy to forget. In those instances, when we don't care one way or the other about a requester, forgetting to make the distinction won't steer us very far wrong. The big mistakes are likely to come when we are found the person making a request. That is why it is so important to be alert to a sense of undue liking for a compliance practitioner. The recognition of that feeling can serve as a reminder to separate the dealer from the merits of the deal and to make our decision based on considerations related only to the latter. Were we all to follow this procedure, I'm certain we would be much more pleased with the results of our exchanges. With compliance professionals, though I suspect that the dealing then would not. Title: Reader's Report from a Chicago man. Although I've never been to a two-proper party, I recognized the same kind of friendship pressures recently when I got a call from a long-distance phone company saleswoman. She told me that one of my buddies had placed my name on something called the MCI Friends and Family Calling Circle. This friend of mine, Brad, is a guy I grew up with, but who moved to New Jersey last year for a job. He still calls me pretty regularly to get the news on the guys we used to hang out with from the neighborhood. The saleswoman told me that he can save 20% on all the calls he makes to the people on his calling circle list, provided that they are MCI phone company subscribers. Then she asked me if I wanted to switch to MCI to get all the blah 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 benefits of MCI service, and so that Brett could save 20% on his calls to me. Well, I couldn't have cared less about the benefits of MCI service. I was perfectly happy with the long distance company I had. But the part about wanting to save money on our calls really got me. For me to say that I didn't want to be in his calling circle and didn't care about saving the money would have sounded like a real affront to a friendship when he learned of it. So to avoid insulting him, I told her to switch me to MCI. I used to wonder why a woman would go to a two-person party just because a friend was ordering it, and then buy stuff they didn't want once they bought them. I don't wonder anymore. This reader is not alone in being able to testify to the power of the pressure embodied in MCI's scoring circle idea. When Consumer Reports magazines inquired into the practice, the MCI salesperson they interviewed was quite succinct. It works 9 out of 10 times, he said. Guys, guess what? This is the end of the episode and the end of the chapter. And we're going to start a new chapter, chapter 6, authority. During defense, the difference, follow and expand virgin. So guys, thank you very much for joining. I really appreciate the fact to choose to invest time with me, and I can't wait to see you all in tomorrow episode of the greatest book club. Until then, take care of yourself, have a great time, man. As always, bye-bye.